Hi everyone, it's Vivian. Welcome to another episode of Sit and Knit with Vivette. It's episode 8 this month, and I'd just like to say hello to any new subscribers that I have, because I have had some since my last podcast, and hello and welcome to my existing viewers. So today is Monday the 2nd of September, and I'm here in Essex in England, where I live with my partner Sean. And I am recording this podcast because I said at the beginning of the year that I would do it to stay on track with all the hats that I'm knitting for the homeless that will be gifted via a charity towards the end of the year. And to record and come on every month to tell you what I've done, I thought was a really good way of staying on track. So before I get into showing you the knitting content for this month, I will just go through a few admin bits. So like I say, my name is Vivian and I'm known as Vivette B1 across social media. I'm mainly on Instagram, and I also have a Ravelry page where I update my projects, and we also have a Ravelry group for this podcast. So if you want to introduce yourself, there is an introductions thread over there. Just pop on and say hello and let us know a little bit about yourself, and we'll create a happy community over there. So if you're all sitting comfortably, let's start with finished objects for this month. So I have 4 finished objects for this month. The first one being a test knit that I did for Barbara, who is Knitting I Love on social media. She designs patterns for socks and hats and shawls, and this is her latest one that I test knit for her along with others. So this is called the short visit hat, and the technique that we used is called mosaic, which, if you remember, I test knit her two trips socks that also had mosaic knitting in it. So again, a lovely pattern. This is a beanie. This is an adult size beanie, and it fits both Sean and I quite well, so it's a good size one. So that is my first finished object. My second finished object is one of the hats for the homeless, but this one I did on a knitting loom rather than a pair of knitting needles. So it comes up like a rib, and you fold up the brim, but it's quite good because you have the same. That's what it looks like on the inside. This is what it looks like on the outside. So again, this is a Stylecraft DK that I use that you hold double. I think now that I've started to do lots of family and friends gift knitting and gift making for ready for Christmas and birthdays, I should probably make the rest of the hats for the homeless on the loom, because it's a lot quicker than knitting. It normally takes me about an afternoon to do an adult size one, so I shall probably do that for the next couple of months just to get them done quickly, ready for giving to the charity at the end of November, beginning of December. So those are 2 of my works in progress. The other 2 works in progress that I have are both socks. Just let me put one of them back on a sock blocker because I took it off. So last month you will remember that I was knitting the Love and Cherish pattern by Ellie, who is Craft House Magic. I have now finished it, and that is the first one. So this is the pattern that you've got like diamonds on both sides, and that is the second one there. And the yarn that I used for these is by Julia Suffolk Socks, and it is in her Mama J colourway. So that's it there. So those are my first socks, and I will link to the patterns and the websites below where you can get both the socks and the pattern. The second pair of socks that I have finished this month were just some Rose City rollers, and that's one of them there. So the yarn that I use for this one is If I Only Had the Nerve by Cast Yarns, and I will link to her Etsy shop there. This is from her first collection, which was the Wizard of Oz colourways. So there is various different ones like Tin Man and Red Slippers and things like that, all linked to Emerald City was another one, all linked to the Wizard of Oz. I teamed it with some leftover metalsome that I had from Stranded Dye Works, as I wasn't sure if I'd have enough yarn to get a whole pair of socks out of the things. As I had about 42 grams. I would have done in the end had I tried, but I just decided to team them. So those are my second pair of completed socks. So those are all of my finished objects for this month. I have quite a few works in progress, not all of them knitting. Some of them are cross stitch, some sewing, and a new rabbit hole that I have fallen down this month. So the first of the knitting ones that I have, excuse me while they all get themselves tangled up, are some more socks. So I'd finished one sock, and yet I hadn't put in the afterthought heel. And these are going to be for Sean's brother. So these will be part of his Christmas package that we send to him, because they're based over in Ireland. And I'm now working on the second one. So I'm working through these, and like I say, they will be sent across to him. It's all in a right angle. Got it all in a right angle. The second sock that I'm working on, again, I've done the first one. This is a shorty pair. So I'm using the leftover Mama J from the Love and Cherish socks. And I've teamed it with another one of Julie's colourways that I've had in my stash for about 2 years. I have knit a pair of blueberry waffle socks with this when I did a burgundy heels, toes and cuffs. And I'm now starting on these ones. I'm doing some shorty socks for September and October because I don't really want to get into long socks just yet. I'm just trying to live that there was a little bit. And so this is how far I've got with the second sock. I only started it Saturday evening, so it's not far at all. So those are my 2 knitting whips that I've started. And the other one that I've started is this one here. And all I've done is cast on, basically. This is going to be a pavement sweater. And I'm using this yarn here, which is King Cole Baby Spot rather. I would love to do a pavement sweater in a hand-dyed yarn, but I can't because I need about 4 skeins or something. I don't have the budget for hand-dyed yarn in a sweater's quantities worth, so I'm using this one. It is 100% acrylic, but I actually picked it because I like the speckle, the grey speckle. It's going to be quite a neutral knit, so that's what I'm doing that. So that's another works in progress, and like I say, I only cast that one on last night, so I've only got the start. Apologies if I sound a bit croaky. I have had a bad cold last week. I'm over most of it now, but it just sounds a little bit husky. So those are 3 of my knitting whips. My last knitting whip is, you may remember when I was on my podcast last month that I talked about wanting an idea of what to do with my minis. So previously I've knitted a full of minis hats. I've also knitted a very long infinity scarf, the Doctor Who scarf as I called it, but I still have lots of minis. And I was talking about whether or not to do a Cozy Memories blanket or a northeasterly. Well, when I was doing a bit of a clear out the other day, I came across the Cozy Memories blankets that I'd already started back in about 2016, and I'd completely forgotten about it. So I've picked it up and I've carried on with that. So when I started it back in 2016, I'd only done from here to here, or from here to here. So I'd only done 6 squares. Since then, as you can see, I've done quite a few more squares. And I'm now just on the start of the 4th row. So this is coming quite nicely. It's a bit difficult. I might fold it in half. That might be a bit easier. It's a bit difficult to show you. So I'm doing 11 across. And then I'll probably do 12 or whatever. It's going to be a lap blanket. And the cat has already had her eye on it. So I'm sure she's going to thing. But these are it. So I'm just literally delving into a bag full of minis that I've got and just working my way through it. It's a really relaxing knit. I am doing it just slightly different from the pattern in that, let me find one that I can show you, it's quite easy, that I'm slipping the first stitch purlwise and I'm knitting through the back loop of the last stitch on every row, and it gives you this like V like you would get in crochet, so that when I then come to pick up for the row above, I'm actually slipping the needle under the V's, which is making it a lot easier to pick up the stitches as you prepare your next squares. And as you can see here, it kind of gives you a little bit of an effect here, but it does make it a lot easier. So I'm actually really enjoying doing the Cozy Memories blanket now, and like I say, it's become my evening knitting. So that is all my knitting for works in progress. Excuse me while I just have a sip of water. Like I say, I have had this terrible sore throat and cough for the last couple of weeks. So the other things that I've been doing quite a bit of cross stitch and also some sewing. And talking of sewing, I've forgotten to tell you 2 little finished objects that I had on sewing, so I'll quickly do those. So I got the sewing machine out last Thursday because I was feeling absolutely under the weather and wanted to do something craft related to make myself feel a little bit better. So I dug out some fat quarter scraps that I had, and I made a couple of lavender ones to hang in the wardrobes, and with the leftovers I made some little sachets to go in the sock drawer and also in my project bags as well. So I have got about 4 or 5 of these, and I'll be making quite a few of these because I've got some lavender. So that was just something. I must admit, when I finished that though, the lavender had made me cough so much that I was like a bit like maybe I shouldn't have done that. So that was that. The other works in progress that I've got at the moment are to do with cross stitch. So this is the first one. This is going to be a bookmark. I've just taken it off the hoop, which is why it's slightly crumpled, for Sean's mum. And what I'll do is I will put her initial up here once I've finished the work. So I've got another little part of it to do. I'm thinking I want to try and find a way to cover the back, because although it's reasonably neat on the back, obviously I don't want her to see some of the threads or all of the threads. So I'm thinking I might get another piece of Ada and line it up, and then it's got a border around it, and I'll border through both sets of holes if I can get it to line up. If not, I might get another piece of fabric, like a bit of felt or something, and put that behind it. I haven't made up my mind yet. So if anybody does do cross stitch and does bookmarks, I'd really appreciate some suggestions as to how I can hide the back of the work, just so that it doesn't show so much. So that's the first one that I'm doing. So that will be part of Sean's mum's present. The other one that I'm doing at the moment as well is, I showed you one of the kits that I'd bought last month, and it was this one here where I'm doing a sampler for my craft room, or my craft room to be rather. So this is it here, and this is as far as I've got on it. So as you can see, I've just done part of the sewing machine that goes in the middle. So I've been working on that. I've been kind of like doing alternate. One day a bit knitting, one day a bit cross stitch, another day a bit knitting, another bit, just so that I keep it kind of like interesting as well, and just slightly different. So going on to that, I also have another work in progress, which also leads me very much into treats or purchases, and I should just get it for you. It's quite large, so let's go back. Let's do this the easy way, shall we? Yesterday I went on a rigid head or loom weaving course at Tribe Yarns, who are based in Richmond in Surrey, with Nikki, who is Clara Peggotty on social media. They run these courses here about once every 2 or 3 months, and as soon as they list them on their website, they are sold out straight away, so quickly. So I was so lucky to get on this one. I think I must have just been on the website just at the right time and just having a bit of a browse. So it's in Richmond, and I live at the other end of the district line. So I had a lovely journey of an hour and a half on the tube, which is great because I got on at one end and got off at the other end, and I just knitted all the way there. And Richmond itself is lovely. It's not somewhere that I've visited often, but it is really lovely down there. So I had a little wander around the shops and stuff like that. But the course that I did was the Loom weaving course. Oh, I hope I didn't shake the camera then. So this is the loom, as you can see, and this is the piece of fabric that we wove in the class yesterday. So I should put that down again because it's quite cumbersome. So the class that we did, like I say, it was an afternoon's class. In it you taught the technique, so how to warp a loom, then how to weave it, all the different components and stuff like that. And then at the option of the class at the end, you had the option to buy the loom so that you could continue. So obviously I bought the loom. I had looked at them before, and it was reasonably priced, and there was a discount for having taken the class as well. And I had been saying to myself that I really wanted one of these looms, because I did have a go at them back in October of last year when I went to Grace's Babel's Travelling Yarns Retreats in Ireland, and she brought her one along, and I thoroughly enjoyed having a go on it, so I really did want to carry on. So that is my latest rabbit hole. So that one I'm going to do some more on, and I will be using it as like a small mat on our coffee table. So I should just show you the yarns that I'm using so you can get an idea. So the warp yarn, which is the long one that goes down the length, I'm using this here. This is a West Yorkshire Spinners in their Air DK range, and it's just, I don't know if it's got a name or a number. It's their Essential DK, so that's that one there. And it's got no name on it. It's just number 0492, but it's a burgundy. So that's what I'm using for the warp. For the weft, I'm using this. How bright and beautiful is that? This is a Countess of DK, and it's from the Tits Collective, If I Want Exposure collection where she did for charity. So that is what I'm using to go widthways on the weft. So that's why you see you've got that beautiful piece. So I will do some more of that later today, and then I shall hem it all and it will be used for the coffee table. I've got some ideas already of things that I'd like to do with the rest of it. So some of the ladies that were there were talking about weaving with cotton and making dishcloths and tea towels and things like that. I definitely want to do a couple of scarves with it because I think that would be lovely, especially with the tassels at the end. And I've seen some of the ones that Grace has done, and they're absolutely gorgeous. And I'm just like, yes, I need some of those. Definitely need some of those. So that's another rabbit hole that I'm falling down. I'm not going to go down anymore. Definitely not. I'm not into spinning. I know a lot of people do spinning, weaving, and then knitting but spinning doesn't appeal to me. I don't know why. I love listening to a spinning wheel. Again, Grace had her one when we was at the retreat, and the noise, the clickety click, clickety click, was so relaxing. But it's just not something that I think I would use. It would be something that I'd buy, sit in a corner and look at longingly, but never actually use it. But definitely the loom I will, especially as I've got all these lovely single skeins of fingering weight yarn that I can make lots of lovely things now, some project bags and weave. So I'd really like, that's another thing I'd like to do, is weave my own fabric and then make some of my own project bags out of that. So that's something else on the cards. So that leads me very nicely into treats purchases. The first one being the loom, obviously. So that was something that, again, but never mind, doesn't matter. The other things that I've purchased this month have been a couple of skeins. So Ellie, who is Craft House Magic, whose socks that I was talking about earlier, she has released a couple of, she does a weekly update on a Friday. So the first one that I bought, I've got a needle corner here, there you go, was this one here. And this is called I'll Be There For You. Yes, the Friends theme. She names all of her yarns, or the majority of her yarns, based on songs. So she's got some classics there. But this one is I'll Be There For You. And I'm going to knit her English Country Garden pattern in it, which is on her website, and I will link to it. She's knitted it, and if you follow her on Instagram, Craft House Magic, you'll see she's put pictures up of it. She's knitted it in this colourway, and she's also knitted it in a tonal blue, which is this colour here, which she gave us as a little mini, with a green, which is very similar to something I'm going to show you in a minute. But she also knitted it in the purple, and I'm going to do it in the purple. It's a really lovely pattern because at the top where you've got the cuff, you've got a patterning that looks like a trellis in a garden, and then you've got butterflies, and then for the where the heel is, you do what we call the lawn. So she's called the heel flap gusset a lawn. So it's like having lines down a lawn. It's very, very cleverly done, and it looks really effective. So I'm going to be casting that on with that skein of yarn. The other skein of yarn that I got from Ellie was her pumpkin patch one. So this is her autumn one, and this is a green very similar to the one that I showed you that she used in her English Country Garden. So as you can see, it's this beautiful oranges with speckles and bits of black, and then the green to go with it, which would be the top of the pumpkin. And this is going to be my socks for Halloween. I'm probably going to do, there's a pattern called the candy sock pattern, which is like a cable pattern, but without using the cables. It's a faux cable pattern, but it gives you a cable down one side. And I'm thinking candy, Halloween, trick or treat, that's probably a good one to do. So I'm going to cast that on in the next couple of weeks so that I can knit that ready for Halloween. So that's my other purchase. My final purchase was, I've purchased a couple of more cross-stitch kits to do as presents for friends, but obviously I won't show you those there. But I did purchase another little one for myself, which is this one here. I probably won't put the pom-pom edging around it, but I will do it to crochet it, cross-stitch, and then hang in my craft room as well. So it's I'm very much a coffee person first thing in the morning. So that is everything that I have purchased or started on or finished or completed. The only other thing that I have is some planned knits, obviously, for Christmas. So, as you know, everyone who knits socks very often will knit themselves a pair of socks for Christmas Day. And we are no exception to the rule in this house. I know that Sean did say to me early on in the year, I've got more than enough socks, I don't need any more socks. Well, he is going to be getting a pair of brightly striped Christmas socks. So this is a ball that I've had for a while now. It's a King Cole one. It's a self-striper, and as you can see, it's got reds and greens and whites. So it's very, very, very Christmas orientated. They're actually called, it's called Christmas. That is that is the name of it. So it's a super wash and 25% nylon, 460 yards and 420 metres. So he's a size 9, so I'll definitely be able to get him a sock set, and I'll probably have enough left over to get me some shorty socks as well. But he will be having a pair of Christmas striped socks. I will also be knitting him a pair for myself. I haven't decided what then. I have a couple of hand-dyed skeins of Christmas colourways from previous years that dyers have done, and I've seen a couple of others that I like, so I will choose which ones I want to do, and then I should do myself a pair of socks. I just do plain vanilla for Christmas because, again, it just becomes evening knitting that I can go round and round. So those are my plans, along with all that I've already got on my needles for the next couple of months or so. So that is all that I have to talk to you about. I hope it hasn't been too much. It's been about 20 minutes or so, so that's pretty good going. If there's anything that you've liked or you've got questions about, or any of the patterns that you like, do pop comments below. If you've enjoyed the video and you'd like to see more, please hit the like button, and if you haven't already subscribed and you'd like to, again, please go ahead and subscribe. I did say that I would have a small giveaway when we reached 100 subscribers, as when I test knit a sock pattern for Barbara, she very kindly gifted me a second copy that I will give as part of the giveaway. So we're currently at 95, so if we can get to that magic 100 by next podcast, then I'll be able to announce a giveaway. So everyone, take care, have a lovely month, and I shall see you soon with some more. Take care, bye bye.